I was tidying up laundry in the living room, the TV's soft hum creating a cozy background. My husband, Michael, was off on another one of his long work trips. I'd grown so used to these quiet stretches alone that the stillness barely registered anymore. With a soft exhale, I checked the clock, 6:45 p.m. time to think about dinner. Ethan, my 16-year-old son, was probably tucked away in his room, either tackling homework or lost in one of his streaming binges. Our talks these days felt more like brief ripples than deep conversations. I missed the times when he'd rush in, bursting with stories about his day. Now, it's mostly quick jokes, shared meals, and long moments of silence. As I folded the last shirt and set it in the basket, I heard footsteps nearing. Ethan stood in the doorway, hands shoved in his hoodie pockets, his face clouded with hesitation. Those dark eyes, his dad's eyes, darted nervously before dropping to the floor. "Mom, can I talk to you for a sec?" His voice was barely a whisper. I pushed the basket aside and tapped the couch beside me. "Always, sweetheart. Come sit." He sank onto the cushion, keeping a little distance, his gaze fixed on his hands. The quiet stretched, heavy and tense. I gently placed my hand on his knee, a soft connection. "I'm right here for you, you know that, don't you?" I said quietly. He gave a small nod, took a deep breath, and finally looked at me. "Mom, I think something's off with me." My heart clenched. "What's going on, Ethan?" "I don't feel the way the other guys at school do," he said, grappling for words. "They're always talking about girls, who's cute, who's dating, but I don't feel any of that." I leaned closer, listening intently. "So, you've never felt drawn to anyone at all?" "Not really. I've tried to feel something, to fit in, but it's just not there. I'm scared it means I'm weird. Maybe I'm gay, or maybe I'm just empty." His voice cracked, and my heart ached for him. "Ethan, look at me. You're not empty. You're my son, and I love you no matter what, whether you like girls, guys, both, or no one. That doesn't change how much you mean to me." Tears brimmed in his eyes. "But what if this is just how I am forever?" "Then that's absolutely fine," I reassured him. "Not everyone feels the same things, and that's okay. You're only 16. You've got plenty of time to figure out what feels right for you. And even if you never feel that spark, you're still complete. You're enough." He swiped at his tears with his sleeves. "What if people talk? What if Dad?" I gently cupped his face. "Your dad loves you. And anyone who tries to make you feel less will have to answer to me." He let out a shaky chuckle and leaned into me. I wrapped my arm around him, holding him tight as the tension eased from his frame. We stayed like that for a bit, just us, with only the TV's faint buzz and our steady breathing in the background. I knew there'd be more questions and tough moments ahead, but right then, I just wanted him to feel secure. I wanted him to know he wasn't facing this alone. "You're going to be okay," I murmured, kissing his hair. "We'll figure it out together." Later, after he'd gone to bed, I lay awake, staring into the darkness. His openness had stirred something in me, not worry, but a fierce, protective love. He was grappling, trying to find his place in the world, and all I wanted was to help him find his footing. That night, a small idea began to take shape. It wasn't clear yet, but maybe if he saw someone he loved being confident and true to themselves, it could inspire him to feel brave too. The next morning, I got up earlier than usual, a mix of excitement and nerves fluttering in my chest. The world outside was still hushed, with the sun just starting to peek through the windows. As I stood before my mirror, getting ready with purpose, I slipped into a dark green dress I hadn't worn in ages. It fit my body in a way that felt both familiar and fresh, like reconnecting with an old version of myself. I let my hair fall in soft curls around my shoulders, added a touch of mascara to brighten my eyes, and chose a soft coral lipstick, subtle but graceful. Black flats finished the look, and when I glanced at my reflection, I saw a woman I hadn't noticed in a while. I smiled, not just at the outfit but at the person wearing it. This wasn't only for Ethan. It was for me too. The kitchen filled with the rich scent of coffee as I whipped up a big breakfast: waffles, scrambled eggs, fresh grapefruit juice, the whole spread. It was more effort than our usual toast or cereal, but today felt special. I heard the shower upstairs turn off, Ethan probably finishing up. Soon, his footsteps came down the stairs. I stayed by the counter, coffee in hand, acting like I was focused on it, but I sensed the moment he noticed me. His steps paused, his sneakers scuffing as he stopped short. "Mom," he said, his voice tinged with confusion. I turned to him with a playful smile. "Morning, hon, breakfast's ready on the table." He didn't budge at first, his eyes scanning me, not in a weird way, just surprised. I caught the faint flush on his cheeks, like he was remembering a younger version of himself. "You, look really nice," he said, scratching the back of his neck, his voice a bit wobbly. "Thanks," I said lightly. "Just felt like changing things up today." He sat down, still stealing glances as he grabbed his fork. "You headed somewhere?" I chuckled softly. "Nope. Just wanted to put in a little effort for myself." "Oh," he said quietly, his fork hovering midair. "You do look good, though. It's been a while since I've seen you like this." Something in his tone struck me, it wasn't just a comment. "I guess I forgot how good it feels to take care of myself too," I said. "Sometimes we get so caught up in everyone else, we don't see how much we've dimmed." He nodded slowly, like he was mulling it over. "Yeah, I never thought about it like that." Over breakfast, I asked about his classes and any big projects, but his mind seemed elsewhere. His eyes kept drifting to me, not puzzled now, but with a kind of warmth, like he was seeing me not just as his mom but as a person with her own story and feelings. After we cleared the dishes, he leaned back in his chair, tapping the table's edge. "You seem really happy today." I paused, thinking about it. "I think I am," I said. "Feeling strong in your own skin, it's a big deal." His lips curved into a gentle smile. "I never realized how much that matters." "It's not just about how you look," I said softly. "It's about being okay with who you are, right where you're at." He looked thoughtful. "Is that something you can learn, or does it just happen?" I reached over, giving his hand a light squeeze. "It grows as you go. And you don't have to do it on your own." In his eyes, I saw a tiny spark of hope. He wasn't entirely certain yet, but something inside him had changed, and for now, that felt like enough. As he stood, slinging his backpack over his shoulder and heading for the door, he stopped and glanced back at me. "Thanks for everything, Mom. You look really great, by the way." I watched the door shut behind him, my smile lingering. This wasn't the end of anything, just the start of a new page, one where we were both figuring out how to be comfortable in our own selves, day by day. That afternoon, I was back on the couch, sifting through a pile of clean laundry while the gentle buzz of a talk show filled the room. Sunlight poured in, spreading a warm golden glow across the floor. I was halfway through matching socks when the front door swung open, followed by the familiar thump of Ethan kicking off his sneakers in the hall. "Mom," he called out, his voice brighter than usual, almost excited. "In the living room," I replied, smoothing his shirt with practiced hands, expecting him to stick to his routine, dump his stuff, raid the fridge, and vanish upstairs. But today was different. Instead of wandering off, he paused in the doorway, like he was rethinking something. Before I could ask what was up, he stepped toward me and pulled me into a hug. The embrace caught me by surprise, his chin resting near my shoulder, his warmth steady and comforting. For a moment, I froze, hands clutching a half-folded towel, but then I melted into it, hugging him back, my fingers gently ruffling his still wet hair. "What's this about, huh?" I asked with a warm smile, my heart beating a little faster at this rare closeness. He held on. "Nothing special," he mumbled. "Just wanted to." "You don't ever need a reason," I said, pressing my cheek against him. "I'm always right here for you." When he finally pulled back, his eyes stayed on me a little longer than usual. They roamed over my face, then flicked to the loose curls slipping from my ponytail. "You're looking really nice today," he said quietly, his voice soft, like the words had escaped without permission. The compliment threw me, not because of what he said, but how he said it. There was a new kind of awareness in his tone, like he was seeing me differently. I tucked a stray hair behind my ear, suddenly self-conscious in a way I hadn't been moments ago. "That's real sweet of you," I said, keeping my voice light. He gave a shy smile and plopped down on the couch next to me. For a bit, we just sat there, quiet. I tried to focus on folding again, but I could feel his gaze on me. When I glanced over, he was watching me, deep in thought. "You know what you said earlier?" he started, fiddling with his sleeve. "About how attraction can pop up in ways you don't expect?" I nodded, unsure where this was going. "I think I'm starting to get it. Maybe I was looking in the wrong spots before." The shirt slid from my grip, my breath catching. Was this the moment I'd been bracing for, or something unexpected? "That's all right," I said softly, picking up the shirt. "Figuring out what pulls you in takes time." He scooted closer, his arm grazing mine, and I felt the warmth of him through our clothes. "You think it's just about finding the right spark?" he asked. "I do," I said, turning to meet his eyes, my voice steady. "You're still sorting it out, and that's okay. You'll find someone who makes things click into place." His fingers brushed mine on the couch, gently curling around them. "I hope so," he whispered, his voice barely audible. I gave his hand a light squeeze. "You're not on this journey alone." He nodded, his eyes shimmering with something tender and searching. "It's just. I didn't realize how powerful it could feel until today." I steadied my breathing. "Sometimes those emotions catch you off guard. That doesn't make them wrong. It just shows you're growing." For a moment, he was quiet, then he leaned into me with a soft sigh, his head resting near my shoulder like when he was little. I stayed still, letting the moment be. I reminded myself of my role, to be his anchor, to guide him without letting comfort blur into something else. It was a tricky line to walk, for both of us. After a few minutes, he sat up, stretching, his smile a bit brighter. "Thanks, Mom. I really needed this." "Anytime, sweetheart," I said, relieved the moment had softened. "Now go change out of those school clothes and get comfy. I'm cooking your favorite tonight." His grin lit up. "Lasagna and garlic bread?" "You got it," I said with a wink. As he headed down the hall, I let out a breath, my heart still racing. I'd navigated today without complicating things, but I knew this wasn't the end of Ethan's path, or mine. He was at a fragile point, balancing self-discovery with the comfort of what's familiar. I'd be there, gently guiding him until he found his way. As I stood in the kitchen, getting dinner ready, I realized something deep. I hadn't just supported Ethan today, he'd reminded me of something too. Love, in all its shapes, is messy, powerful, and beautiful. And sometimes, the people we care about most are the ones who help us see that again. That evening, after we'd polished off dinner, I stood at the kitchen sink, scrubbing pots and pans, while Ethan sprawled at the table, lazily swiping through his phone with a contented grin. The air still carried the rich aroma of garlic and tomato sauce from our lasagna, mingling with the quiet hum of the dishwasher churning away. I stole a glance over my shoulder at him, and a warm glow spread through my chest seeing him so relaxed. It was a stark contrast to just a day ago, when he'd been hunched over with worry and self-doubt clouding his eyes. Now, he looked like a young man who'd finally set down a heavy load. Maybe I'd managed to do something right after all. Maybe my little plan to show him confidence in myself had sparked a bit of it in him too. As I dried the last dish, Ethan stretched, stood up, and casually tossed his phone onto the couch before heading toward the front door. "Where you headed?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. "Just gonna step outside for a minute," he said, flashing a quick grin. "I'll be right back." I nodded with a smile, not pressing him further, assuming he just needed a moment to breathe in the cool evening air. I turned back to wiping down the counters, my mind drifting to how much closer we'd become over the past 24 hours. Our connection had always been something special, but this new layer felt deeper, more honest. He trusted me with his whole heart, and that trust was worth more than I could put into words. I was lost in those thoughts, the sponge moving in slow circles across the countertop, when the door creaked open again, followed by the soft sound of footsteps behind me. "That was quick," I said with a chuckle, turning to face him. But the sight stopped me cold, my breath catching in my throat. There stood Ethan, clutching a small cluster of wildflowers. They weren't the kind you'd find in a florist's shop, all polished and perfect, but their simple beauty took my breath away, delicate daisies, sprigs of lavender, and a few wisps of green, all tied together with a rough piece of twine. "These are for you," he said, his voice gentle but steady, as he held them out toward me. I blinked, completely thrown by the gesture. "Ethan, these are beautiful," I managed, my voice soft with surprise. "Where on earth did you get them?" "There's this little patch near the park," he said, scratching the back of his neck, a shy flush creeping up his cheeks. I don't know, I thought you deserved something nice after everything you've done for me lately." I reached out, taking the flowers carefully, their faint lavender scent wrapping around me like a quiet hug. "Oh, honey, you didn't have to do this," I said, my heart swelling with gratitude. "But I'm so glad you did." He shrugged, his smile a little bashful, but he stepped closer, his eyes bright with something I couldn't quite name. I set the bouquet gently on the counter, my fingers lingering on the soft petals for a moment as I tried to gather my thoughts. When I turned back to him, his gaze was fixed on me, warm and steady, and it sent my pulse racing. There was a shift in the air, a quiet intensity that hadn't been there before. Before I could find the right words, he leaned in and pressed a soft kiss to my cheek. The warmth of it lingered long after he pulled back, leaving me stunned, my breath uneven. My hand drifted to my cheek, where his lips had been, my skin still tingling faintly. "Ethan," I whispered, my voice barely carrying. He didn't step away, instead, he stayed close, his eyes searching mine with a kind of quiet urgency. "I just wanted to say thank you," he said softly, "for everything. For helping me figure out who I am." I swallowed hard, the air between us heavy with unspoken feelings. "You don't ever need to thank me, sweetheart," I said, keeping my voice gentle. "I'm your mom. Helping you is what I'm here for." He shook his head, his expression earnest. "It's more than that, though," he said, his hand reaching out to take mine, his touch light but sure. "You didn't just help me. You made me see things in a new way. I was so sure something was broken in me, like I couldn't feel what everyone else does. But now I know I was just waiting for the right person to show me what it's like to feel understood." My heart thudded in my chest, each beat loud in my ears. "And you think you've found that person now?" I asked, my voice careful. He nodded, his fingers tightening just a fraction around mine. "I figured out today that I do like women," he said, his voice low but certain. "But not just any woman. I'm drawn to women who are strong, who care deeply, who are beautiful inside and out. Women who make me feel safe and seen. Women, like you." His words hit me like a warm wave, flooding me with love but also a sharp pang of concern. This was more than I'd planned for, more than I'd ever imagined when I set out to help him find confidence. My idea had worked, but it had stirred something I hadn't anticipated, and now I needed to tread carefully to keep things from veering off course. "Ethan," I said softly, gently slipping my hand from his, "I'm so proud of you for being so open. It takes real guts to share your heart like this, and I'm honored you trust me. But these feelings, they're part of growing, part of your journey. They're not the whole story." He looked down, his voice wavering. "But what if I don't want to keep searching? What if I already know who makes me feel this way?" His words tugged at my heart, not out of fear, but because I could feel how raw and uncertain he still was. I placed a hand on his shoulder, grounding us both. "It's okay to feel a little lost when you're sorting through big emotions," I said gently. "It's natural to hold tight to the people who've been your safe place. But that closeness doesn't always mean they're the one for you in that way. It just means they're a big part of your life." His voice cracked as he spoke. "But no one's ever made me feel like you do." I met his eyes, holding them with calm strength. That's because love, real, deep love, makes us feel truly seen. And you are seen, Ethan. You're just starting to discover who you are. Don't mistake comfort for romance. There's someone out there who'll give you that same trust and spark something new, because they're meant for you. He took a shaky breath, nodding slowly. It's just hard to believe I'll find them. You will, I said, brushing my fingers lightly along his cheek. Someone's out there who'll love every bit of you, not just understand you, but challenge you to grow. Don't give up before you get the chance to meet her. He closed his eyes briefly, then let out a long sigh. Okay. I'll try to hold on to that. I pulled him into a warm hug, his head resting against my shoulder as I wrapped my arms around him. You're already doing so much, Ethan, I murmured. Listening to your heart like this, that's the bravest thing you can do. We stood there for a while, wrapped in quiet trust, the world fading to just the two of us. I didn't need to say more, he got it, at least for now. And I knew he'd carry that understanding forward, step by step. After a bit, he pulled back, wiping his eyes with a sheepish grin. Guess I better start looking for that girl, huh? I laughed, tousling his hair. She's out there, waiting. And when you find her, you'll know it was worth the wait. As he headed down the hallway, the wildflowers still resting on the counter, I glanced at them, their soft colors catching the kitchen light. A smile tugged at my lips. This path hadn't been easy, it had tested my heart in ways I hadn't expected, but in guiding Ethan, I'd rediscovered something in myself too. A quiet resilience, a love deep enough to hold space for both of us to grow, and the courage to keep walking this journey together, no matter where it led. I gently took the bouquet, the soft lavender scent drifting between us. Oh, sweetheart, you didn't need to do this, I said warmly. I wanted to, Ethan replied, stepping a bit closer. I set the flowers on the counter, my fingers brushing the stems briefly before I turned back to him. His eyes held mine, steady and intense, making my pulse quicken. There was a new weight in the air, something unsaid but heavy with meaning. Before I could speak, he leaned forward and softly kissed my cheek. The warmth of his lips lingered, leaving me caught off guard, my breath shallow. My hand drifted to where his kiss had landed, my skin still tingling. Ethan, I murmured, my voice barely a whisper. He didn't pull back, in fact, he edged closer, his eyes searching mine. I just wanted to thank you, he said softly, for everything. For helping me sort through all this. I swallowed, the air thick with feeling. You don't need to thank me, hon, I'm your mom, it's what I do. It's more than that, he pressed, his hand gently finding mine. You didn't just help me. You made things make sense. I thought something was wrong with me, like I couldn't feel what others do. But now I see I just hadn't found the right person. My heart pounded fiercely. And you think you've found her? He nodded, his grip tightening just a bit. Today I realized I do like women. But not just anyone. I like women who are strong, caring, and beautiful, women who make me feel safe and understood. Women like you. His words crashed over me, warm but overwhelming, stirring both love and unease. This was beyond what I'd expected, beyond what I'd prepared for. My plan had worked in ways I hadn't foreseen, and now I stood on a fragile edge, where one misstep could tip things into chaos. Ethan, I said carefully, gently easing my hand from his, I'm so proud of you for opening up like this. It takes real courage, and it means the world that you trust me. But these feelings, they're part of your path, not the end of it. He looked down, his voice shaky. But what if I don't want to wait? What if I already know who makes me feel safe? His words cut deep, not out of fear, but because I could hear how raw and lost he still felt. I rested a hand on his shoulder. It's normal to feel overwhelmed when you're figuring yourself out. It's natural to cling to the people who've been there for you, I said gently. But that closeness doesn't always mean they're the one for you in that way. It just means they matter. But no one's ever made me feel like you do, he said, his voice breaking with emotion. I held his gaze, steady and calm. That's because real love makes us feel truly seen. And you are seen, Ethan. You're just starting to understand who you are. Don't mix up safety with romance. There's someone out there who'll give you that same trust and more, because they're meant for you. He swallowed hard, giving a slow nod. But it's tough to believe I'll ever find them. You will, I said, brushing my fingers lightly across his cheek. Someone's waiting out there who'll love every piece of you, not just understand you, but help you grow. Don't give up before you meet her. He closed his eyes for a moment, then let out a breath. All right. I'll try to trust that. I pulled him into a tight hug, his head resting against my shoulder as I held him close. You've already come so far, Ethan. Listening to your heart like this, that's the bravest thing you can do. We stayed like that, wrapped in quiet trust. I didn't need to say more, he understood in that moment. And I knew he'd carry that forward, wherever it took him. After a bit, he pulled back, wiping his eyes with a shy grin. Guess it's time to start looking for that girl, right? I laughed, ruffling his hair. She's out there. And when you find her, you'll wonder why you ever doubted. As he headed down the hall, the wildflowers still sitting on the counter, I glanced at them and smiled. This journey hadn't been simple, and it had tugged at my heart in unexpected ways, but in guiding him, I'd found something in myself too, a quiet strength and a deeper love that could hold space for us both to grow.